Okay, joining us now, Congressman Scott Perry from House Foreign Affairs. Congressman, it's good to have you on this night. What do you make of Iran today vowing harsh revenge on Israel after an Israeli airstrike reportedly killed 2 Iranian generals and 5 officers in Damascus, Syria? What do you make of this?
Well, we shouldn't be surprised by Iran's response. What actually should surprise us is that Israel has had to do this while the Biden administration has literally been coddling Iran and the Ayatollahs and the mullahs and the IRGC. We have a problem in Israel because of Iran. That problem exists in Israel under the name of Hamas or Hezbollah or Islamic Jihad. In Yemen, it's the Houthis. These are all the proxies of Iran. And while America not only won't do anything about Iran, but is actually helping Iran by providing financing that they shouldn't be and providing space regarding this nuclear deal, Israel doesn't have that luxury and must make sure that they strike first. Otherwise, they're going to suffer another horrific attack like they did in October.
You know, it took out a top commander in the Iranian Revolutionary Guard Corps. So they're saying this appears in, in Iranian newspapers and media. They're saying this is an escalation of Israel's targeting of Iranian military officials and their allies in Syria. I mean, the chief spokesman for Israel's army said Iran directed a drone attack on a naval base in southern Israel. What do you think?
Well, I think that we can predict this again from Iran. It's propaganda. Let's remember that Israel continues to have to respond to Iran, and Iran wasn't done through Hamas on October 7th. They're not done now, and Israel has vowed, and rightly so, any other country would be right to do the same thing. They're not going to wait until Iran or its proxies slaughter thousands of its people. They just simply cannot wait, and they're not going to. So I think that this kind of activity, unfortunately, can be expected as long as the Ayatollahs and Iran and the militaristic viewpoints of the IRGC continue to prevail in the region. Unless Iran is checked, this is going to continue.
Congressman, moving on to this story, it's about the Havana syndrome. What do you make of a lead U.S. military investigator, a whistleblower? He had worked on the Havana syndrome, telling 60 Minutes that he believes U.S. enemies, Russia and possibly China, have been physically attacking more than 100 U.S. intelligence officers, military and diplomatic officials, sometimes their families, using sonic weapons with a high-energy beam of microwaves or ultrasound, giving them brain injuries. What do you make of this?
Well, it happened in Cuba, right? That's why we call it Havana syndrome or Havana syndrome. But does anybody really believe that the Castro regime in its current form has the wherewithal to come up with something that the United States can't identify and can't counter? So it's right to believe that whether it's Russia or whether it's China or whether it's both of them working in collaboration. Let's remember that China operates Lourdes, the largest and the biggest collection operation on the planet, right from Cuba into the United States of America. These are enemies of America, and they seek, especially in the case of China, what's called unrestricted warfare, which includes diplomats' families and everything American that they can harm and degrade. And so I think that the report is at least worth a second look and has a fair amount of credibility.
The Havana syndrome includes migraines, nausea, memory lapses, hearing loss. Greg Edgreen, he's a now retired Army Lieutenant Colonel. He ran the Pentagon unit looking into this. He's the whistleblower. He said America and the Biden White House does not want to face the hard truths about this and how it's injuring our U.S. officials.
Yeah, well, let's remember that many people reported having these issues, and then we were generally told it was all in their heads and that this never happened. The people that have been affected by it, they certainly don't believe that. And unfortunately, this is a case where I think the track record of United States intelligence agencies being truthful with the American citizens is in question.
Got it.
And so I think that we ought to pursue this report and see how far it goes.
Congressman Perry, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's good to see you.